Now let's talk about the foil hat and its attitude. The term foil hat originates from a 1927 science fiction novel, where the protagonist uses an aluminum foil hat to shield themselves from a telepathic attack. Over time, the phrase has evolved into a label for individuals who believe in government cover-ups and conspiracy theories. Personally, I believe that the ruling elite has deliberately ridiculed those who challenge mainstream narratives, making it harder for people to take alternative viewpoints seriously. A clever tactic, really. But in all seriousness, the world is filled with conspiracy theories, many of which attempt to expose hidden agreements behind major events, or uncover the strategies of the powerful in controlling society. Conspiracy theories also extend to suspicions about government's secret knowledge regarding UFOs, extraterrestrial life, or highly advanced technology. Each of these topics could easily warrant its own dedicated video, and perhaps I'll explore them further in the future. For now, let's take a closer look at the intriguing world of conspiracy theorists. Unfortunately, in Monica's world, they seem to be as deeply hidden as classified government facilities, like Area 51. Since 1974, when the first satellite image of Gloom Lake, adjacent to Suolajarvi, was captured, speculation about the true purpose of the area has circulated globally. Despite its proximity to a top-secret base, its exact function remains a mystery. The intrigue surrounding the site is comparable to that of Area 51, which was not officially acknowledged until 2013. Area 51 itself is an integral part of the Nellis Air Force Test Range. The operational costs of this facility are not accounted for in the military budget, and pilots are strictly prohibited from flying over the region. Within the Air Force, the site is commonly referred to as Dreamland. Over time, theories emerged suggesting that Area 51 serves as a storage and research facility for extraterrestrial technology and life forms. Many believe that what is visible in satellite images represents only the surface, with the real research complex extending underground into a vast and enigmatic network. The area has attracted numerous visitors over the years, eager to catch a glimpse of anything unusual or otherworldly. Employees at Area 51 reportedly arrived via a fleet of aircraft known as Janet Airlines. While official imagery depicts uniformed officers, photographs taken from outside the perimeter reveal workers dressed in ordinary civilian clothing. In September 1997, the radio program received a call from an individual claiming to be a former Area 51 employee. The caller, sounding distressed, shared unsettling details about the base, leaving the host and listeners captivated. I don't have much time, so let's get straight to the point. First, are you using this line correctly? Every 50 watts, yes, that's right. Were you an employer, or are you now a former employee? I'm a former employee. I was medically discharged about a week ago, and I've been traveling across the country ever since. I don't even know where to start. They're going to pinpoint my location very soon, so I can't stay on the line for long. Doug, I need to be quick. There are extra-dimensional beings that an early version of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. The military, no, the government, knows about them. There are safe zones around the world where people could be relocated, but nothing is being done. They want the major population centers to be wiped out so that the remaining few will be easier to control. The man called back the following year, claiming that everything he previously said was false. However, the tone and manner of speech in this second call led many to believe it wasn't the same person. This has fueled one of the most intriguing conspiracy theories. Interestingly, as I mentioned earlier, the CIA only officially acknowledged the existence of Area 51 in 2013. In a 400-page report, they detailed the U-2 reconnaissance aircraft used during the Cold War, which had been tested at the site. This revelation is a reality check for fervent conspiracy theorists, as the U-2 aircraft accounts for numerous past UFO sightings. At the time, the U-2 flew higher than any other aircraft, and at an altitude of 18 kilometers, it continued to reflect sunlight even after nightfall. In my view, it would be highly impractical for authorities to investigate highly classified projects in a location that is already widely speculated about. Given how well-known Area 51 is today, a more strategic approach would be to conduct such activities elsewhere while allowing the mystery surrounding the site to persist. This remains one of the most debated conspiracy theories in the world. Another widely contested theory questions whether Neil Armstrong's historic moon landing was actually filmed in a studio. Many skeptics argue that the footage was staged, particularly because a photo from the moonwalk shows an American flag appearing to flutter, despite the moon having no atmosphere or wind. NASA, however, has provided logical explanations for this phenomenon. The top of the flag was supported by a horizontal rod, and the fabric had been tightly packed in a thin tube before being unfurled. The resulting creases gave the illusion of movement, a natural effect in the moon's low-gravity environment. Aside from the astronauts planting the flag on the surface, the tank was subjected to significant kinetic energy, which transferred to the flag itself, evident in the images. If the moon landing truly happened, why aren't there any craters beneath the lunar module? One would expect the landing thrusters, which had to be powerful enough for a safe descent, to create at least a small indentation on the surface. However, this isn't necessarily the case. The moon's lower gravity means the descent required much less thrust. Additionally, the surface is largely solid rock, making it difficult for a crater to form. Since the moon lacks an atmosphere, the sky remains perpetually clear. Yet, in astronaut photos, stars are absent, even though they should be more visible compared to Earth, where the atmosphere scatters and obstructs light. Some argue that if NASA had staged the moon landing, accurately replicating the positions of every star would have been nearly impossible, so they simply omitted them from the images. NASA counters this by stating that low-quality images often fail to capture stars. However, some high-resolution photos from the lunar surface exist, raising the question of why even modern cameras on Earth can capture stars with weaker sensors. Even I understand that photography is not always straightforward, and lighting conditions play a crucial role. These are just a few examples of doubts and speculations surrounding the moon landing. Could the United States have staged the event with NASA's involvement at the height of the space race, just to claim victory? Or would the entire class be deceived by their own sense of impossibility? Princess Diana tragically passed away in a car accident in 1997 at the age of just 36. She and her boyfriend had left their hotel, where a swarm of paparazzi was eagerly waiting. Hoping to avoid the spotlight, the couple exited through a side door, but they were quickly noticed, prompting the press to pursue them. In an attempt to evade the photographers, Diana's driver accelerated, reaching speeds between 120 and 160 kilometers per hour as they entered a tunnel. However, he lost control of the vehicle, crashing into a concrete pillar. Both the driver and Diana's boyfriend died at the scene, while Diana succumbed to her injuries later at the hospital. The only survivor was her boyfriend's bodyguard, who happened to be the only one wearing a seatbelt. Why bring up Diana's death in this context? Because some conspiracy theorists believe that rather than an unfortunate accident, it was a carefully orchestrated murder by the royal family. According to these theories, Diana's death was linked to the future of the British monarchy. There were multiple reasons in their view to remove her. At the time, Diana and Prince Charles were already divorced, and shortly before her passing, she hinted at having a significant secret. Many speculated that she was planning to remarry, or that she might even have been pregnant with her new partner's child. Whether true or not, even the announcement of a new marriage would have been a major scandal for the royal family, particularly since they strongly disapproved of Diana's new relationship. If she had remarried, she would have lost her royal title as was customary. Regardless, since Diana and Charles had 2 children together, she would have eventually lost her title anyway. Do you believe you will ever become queen? No? I don't think so. Why do you ask? I would love to be a queen in people's hearts, someone they cherish, but I don't see myself as the queen of this country. I doubt many people would want me in that role. Actually, when I say many people, I'm referring to the establishment I married into. They have already decided that I am not a viable candidate. The world came to a standstill on September 11, 2001, when two commercial airplanes crashed into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York. In total, 4 planes went down that day. The third struck the Pentagon, while the fourth crashed into a field in Pennsylvania. Nearly 3,000 lives were lost. The official reports attributed the attacks to terrorists, but alternative theories suggest that the U.S. government may have played a role. The basis of some of these claims remains unclear, but they are explored in this article. Following the attacks, the United States launched its war on terror, leading to the invasion of Afghanistan. This resulted in better control over oil production and increased profits for the arms and security industries, among other consequences. According to some theories, explosives had been placed inside the WTC towers. Explosives were used to bring down the towers in a controlled manner. Several engineers and demolition experts have pointed out that the way the towers collapsed closely resembles a controlled demolition, raising suspicions. According to findings from 9 out of 11 investigations, the use of explosives is the only plausible explanation given the circumstances, and the official report on the cause of the collapse appears physically impossible. Totuuslike has urged the Finnish government to conduct a fresh, independent investigation, arguing that official reports have overlooked critical questions and dismissed key witness statements and evidence. One particularly intriguing case is WTC Building 7, which collapsed hours after the Twin Towers, despite not being struck by an aircraft. Official reports attribute the collapse to uncontrolled fires within the building, an explanation that many find implausible. The structure fell in a near-perfect symmetrical fashion in approximately 6.5 seconds, an extremely rapid time frame. A freely falling object would take just under 6 seconds to reach the ground from the same height. Dr. Heikki Kurttila, a technician, noted that an apple dropped from the roof would have taken around 7 seconds to hit the ground, longer than the 174-meter steel frame building. This, in his view, strongly suggests an intentional demolition. The symmetry of the collapse further contradicts official explanations, raising further doubts about the events. The collapse of the building straight down from its base suggests that all its steel supports failed simultaneously. More specifically, the destruction of the 25th center and the 58th edge of the cylinder occurred almost at the same time. This raises questions about the official explanation, which attributes the collapse to a fire spreading from flammable materials. The simultaneous failure of all structural reinforcements is highly improbable. Regardless of the absolute truth, one fact remains undeniable: 3,000 lives were lost, leaving many families in mourning. Yet over time, the memory of this tragedy may fade from public consciousness. Some speculate that a powerful elite seeks to control the world and humanity itself. The concept of a new world order is at the center of various conspiracy theories, suggesting efforts to consolidate global power and establish a singular world religion. Allegedly, groups such as the Illuminati, Freemasons, and Bilderberg Group are involved in this pursuit. Even institutions like the European Union have been suspected of promoting this agenda. According to conspiracy theorists, achieving such control would require a drastic population reduction to around 2 billion, preserving only the most select individuals. The method of achieving this depopulation remains uncertain, but theories range from the release of a deadly virus with restricted access to treatment to large-scale psychological manipulation of the masses. There are still occurrences in the world that have become predictable, cases where individuals find themselves repeatedly hearing sounds and commands in their minds. Perhaps those in power have mastered this game better than anyone else. Aircraft leave trails in the sky, yet at times these trails linger and disperse in unusual patterns. One prevailing conspiracy theory suggests that these trails contain chemical compounds intentionally released to influence the human brain, making individuals easier to control. The broader mysteries surrounding the so-called are vast, warranting a dedicated video on the topic in the future. Exploring this subject further would be fascinating. Personally, I remain cautious when it comes to conspiracy theories. Some are entirely fabricated, while others seem to exist simply for the sake of speculation. However, I'm also not naive enough to believe that the general public is always given the full truth. In my view, maintaining a healthy level of skepticism is important, but when one rational skeptic is drowned out by a chorus of eccentric, overly zealous conspiracy theorists, it almost feels as though somewhere in an ivory tower, the powers that be are toasting with overpriced champagne, celebrating how seamlessly everything is going according to plan.